What you guys, got another video on how to create your own Windows 11 Lite edition. Now this is removing key components from Windows 11 to make the operating system run lighter, removing bloat and stuff like that that you might not require. Now bear in mind that some of these features you may need. So if you go removing everything you see in this video, you may require that component and it will be removed. So only remove the stuff that you don't need. Don't just follow what I'm doing on here. Also, if you do follow these video instructions, you're doing so at your own risk. Another thing I want to point out is this is not an official Windows 11 Lite. Microsoft will release that version when they get around to releasing their version of Windows 11 Lite. So you might want to wait for the official release from Microsoft, but if you're one of these people that can't wait and you want to create your own, then this is basically how you can do it. So let's get on with the tutorial. First off, you're going to need to download Windows 11. You can go to Microsoft's website and download the official Windows 11 ISO. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and download this and get it onto our computer. So choose which language you want to use. I'm just leaving this as English United States, confirm. And you should see a 64-bit download link there. So let's click on this and it should start downloading to our computer. Next, you need to download MSMG Toolkit. This is a professional toolkit. It's very powerful, and this is going to allow you to integrate things and also remove Windows components from your build. I'll leave the link on my website, and you can download it from there if you wish. So we've got all this downloaded. I've created a folder on my desktop called Project, and inside here, I've created another folder in there called Toolkit. I have the toolkit downloaded here. This version was 12.1 at the time of making this video, and I've also got my ISO file in here which I've downloaded from Microsoft. I've also got a little remove list here which I use to remove components as well, but this is basically what I've got so far. So we've got all the stuff we need. I'm going to put the toolkit folder in my C root directory. Now I'm going to extract the MSMG toolkit and put it into my root directory. For that, you're going to need 7-zip. I've downloaded 7-zip. It's free to download, and I've got it installed on my PC. I'm going to right click on the toolkit here, and we're going to go show more options and go 7-zip and then extract files, and then we can extract them into that location. So let me go ahead and change the path. So I'm going to just hit the 3 dots and go to this PC, click on this PC. And from there, what we're going to do is we need to go to the C root directory where our folder is. So let me go there and go toolkit. There we go. So there is our toolkit folder that we just created. Click OK, and it will extract all of the contents into that folder. So let's go and take a look and see what that looks like now. So we're going to go back to this PC, C drive, and you should have your toolkit folder with a toolkit folder inside here, with all of the files that you need and folders. You can see them here. This is our DVD folder and our sources folder. So this is where we need to put our Windows 11 ISO. So we're going to extract our Windows 11 ISO and we're going to put it into that DVD folder. So let me right click on the ISO file and mount it. Now we've got it mounted. These are all the files we need. So I'm going to copy all these files and we're going to copy them to that directory. So let's go over to this PC, C drive, and then go toolkit and then look for our DVD folder, and this is where we're going to paste them inside here. So just paste all the files inside this directory here. There we go. It takes a bit of time depending on the speed of your computer, but it's copying this across now. And once we got this done, we're pretty much ready to start creating our own Windows 11 Lite edition. Now what I would advise you to do is set all this up in a virtual environment. So get VirtualBox or a VMware and install Windows 11 on there and basically do all your projects inside a virtual machine, and that way it's not connected to your main PC. So if anything goes wrong, it's not going to mess up your main PC. It's in a virtual machine. So that's the way I like to do things. So now we're going to eject the ISO file from the actual computer here. So let me go ahead, right click and eject. And what I've done here now is I'm going to go back and take a look at our toolkit folder we created inside this PC and our C drive here. So inside here, this is where all of our project is, and this is what we're going to do. So we're going into the DVD area here, and you can see all of the files are in here ready to go. So this is what we're going to be using here. So you can see here, inside the sources area, there's an install.wim. And this is the file that we're going to be using to manipulate and remove things. You can see it's 4.7 gigabytes in size. It's quite a big file. Now, if your file is install.esd or something like that, you need to convert it to .wim. But my file is .wim, so we're ready to go. So let's go to this PC here, and then our C drive. Inside here, going to go to Toolkit, and then inside here, we're going to go to Bin. Inside your bin area here, we can see here we do have a folder called Lists. Inside this Lists folder, you're going to see some folders and some files. You can see the files that's called Disable Features List, Enable Features List, Remove Apps List, and so on. So if you want to remove apps list, you can add in apps that you want to remove into this area here. So I've added a load of apps that I want to remove from my build. Now, there's plenty of lists out there on the internet. These are lists that you can get from Microsoft themselves, and they are just literally lists for apps inside Windows 11. And you can also disable features in here, and we can, ask MSMG to basically remove these apps. So now we got that done. Let's go down to Start here. We can click on the Start. I'm going to right click and run this as administrator. And this will open up a command prompt box, as you can see here, and it's gone blue. So this is the MSMG toolkit. This is their terms and conditions. Make sure you read it and accept their terms and conditions. Once you've done this, we can push continue, and then we will start the process. So let's push continue here, and it will say enter a code. We're going to enter number 1, source. This is what we're going to do. So enter number 1 and push enter. Now we can select the source from the DVD folder. So I'm going to select number 1 here and put number 1 in. So we're going to work our way through the menu system here. So once that's selected, it will go to the next option, and we're going to select number 6 here. This is for Windows 11 Pro 64-bit. We're going to select number 6 and push 6 in and push enter. Once it's done this, it's going to ask us, do we want to mount the Windows setup boot image? I'm going to say Wi-Fi yes and push enter. And then we can move on to the next option, which is, do you want to mount Windows recovery image? And you can choose your option, what you want to do there. I said no to that option. So next, we're going to let that load in. It does take a fair bit of time. So push the enter key here to move to the next option, which is what we can choose here. So let me just go back to the C drive here and in the toolkit area. And what we've done here, if we go into the mount area here, then we're going to go into the install folder, go into install, and you should see number 6 here, which is what we selected. Click on number 6, and from here go Windows. And then what we're going to do is come down until you see here System 32. Click on System 32. And inside System 32, we're going to come down a little bit more here. And then what we're looking for is the recovery folder. And you should see the winre.wim here. And this is quite a big file. Now, we're not going to be using this, so I'm going to remove this from here. So I'm going to delete this file. So let me go ahead and right-click on here and delete this. So that's now gone. Now, we should still have our window open for MSMG Toolkit. We haven't closed it off. We've just dropped that down onto the taskbar. So I'm going to close this off and go back to our MSMG Toolkit. Select number 3 now by type number 3 and enter. And then go number 1 to remove Windows components. So push number 1 in and push enter. Now we can select our Windows components by selecting number 1. And then we can then go into here. Now select number 1 for the first one. And once we go in here, we're going to work our way through all of these. So let's go through and start off with number 1 first. We're going to remove the Edge Chromium browser. Now, if you don't want to remove Edge Chromium browser, then by all means leave it. But if you remove it, there will be no browser on that system. Removing Internet Explorer can cause issues, so I leave it alone. Next, we're going to select Multimedia, number 2, and I'm going to highlight the ones I removed. You can remove other ones if you wish, but I'm removing these ones. And then we're going to go back by pushing X and go back and select number 3, which is network. So let's select number 3. And this is to do with all your networking settings. So be careful what you remove here. But you can see here, there is some features here that you might want to remove. But I've left these on the computer because it's to do with the network side of things. So I don't want to remove any of that. Next, we're going to go privacy. And this is probably going to be the biggest one. I've removed all of these areas here. I've left Windows error reporting. Some people like to remove that. I've left it on there. Next, we're going to move on to the remoting tab, which is number 5. So let's go to number 5 and we'll see what we're going to remove in there. Inside here, you can see there's quite a few things on here that you might want to remove. So I'll highlight the ones that I'm removing here. And these are the ones I'm removing. Click X to go back. And we're moving on to system. Next, we're going to remove some of the system files. Be very careful because these are to do with the system. So I'm going to be removing these ones here, what I'm highlighting on the screen. I've left the firewall and some other areas because this can cause problems if you remove these from the actual build. Next up, number 7, system apps. So I'm going to open up number 7 and I'm not going to highlight these ones because there's too many and there's a rolling screen here. But I'll leave the ones with minuses on them. So look for the ones with minus. And these are the ones I've removed here. Now, be careful what you remove here because you can end up breaking the system. Like I've removed map control and other things. I've left Smart Screen and Windows Defender. I don't want to mess with that because that can normally mess up your OS. Next, we're going to go back by pushing X and click number 8, Windows Apps. Again, the ones with the minus is the ones I've removed. If you want to remove Cortana and stuff like that, you can do. If you want to remove Windows Mail, by all means, you can do. That's okay to remove. And there's some other ones on there like weather and things like that if you want to remove them. Entirely up to you what you remove on yours. I've removed a bunch of them, as you can see here. I'm adjusting it as I go. And there is a few other ones like paint, but I'm leaving those on there. Now push X to go back. And you can see I've removed all of the Xbox ones as well. And the Windows Store app. I've removed that. But if you want to keep it, then by all means do so. Push go back. And now we need to do number 2, which is start removing Windows components. We've selected them all. And now we're going to remove them. So let's push that one. And it will go ahead and start removing them. This is probably the easiest way to remove components from your build. Now there is other options available, which I'll show you in a second. But this is probably going to be out of the scope of this video because that's more advanced. And you would need to have the lists of all of the files that you want to remove using the remove from the file list. So let's go back here. I'll show you it quickly. Push X to go back. And you can see here, remove Windows apps using an apps list. That is the apps list that I had. So I've added a load of apps list from there. Push enter. And it will go and talk to that apps list and remove all of the apps from there. So you can see some of them have already been removed. And that's because we've removed them previously just using the previous method. But it did go to that file called apps list and it's removed what I put in there. Next, you can remove Windows components using the package list. This is another option that you can go down and remove options from. So let's go ahead. Do you want to continue? So I'm going to say yes. And this will go ahead and start doing that for us. You can see here, remove Windows components using the package list DISM method. So push 1. And this will go off and start to do that for us as well. And you can see here, it's starting to remove these. There we go. I've speeded this part up, obviously, because it does take some time. I have skipped these parts to stop it from taking forever to do. Next, you can do number 3 if you wanted to, remove Windows components using the package list. And this is like I showed you before, inside the bin area and inside the list area. You'll see them inside here, the DISM templates, feature templates, toolkit helper templates, and remove package list. You can see I've got them all listed here. So you will need to source these yourself. They are available online and things like that. But you just need to be in the loop with this sort of stuff. If you're not in the loop for this sort of stuff, then obviously this is probably going to be a bit out of the scope of this video for you. But you can still use the remove Windows components section. So once you go here, push enter, and you see remove Windows components using the package list toolkit helper method. This is another method to remove the Windows components. So you can use just the standard Windows components, or you can use lists to remove things as well, depending on which way you want to go about doing it. So that's 3 ways of doing it. 1, 2, or 3, you can select either one of those. Number 1 is the easiest way. So next up, we're going to go to 4, which is the customize option here. Go into number 4, and you can see there's a load of options available. So let's go ahead and start off with the first option, which is number 2, disable Windows features using the features list. So let's go ahead and start disabling these. And you can push enter, and it will start removing those. Now we can do number 3, import custom default inbox apps associated from an XML file. And you can push this one as well, and this will start to do that for us. And once that's done, push continue, and now we can go to number 4, export default inbox apps associations to the XML file. You can see it's checking, and it's found the default inbox apps associations XML file, and it's exporting it, and it's done that for us. So push any key to move to the next section, which is number 5, remove default inbox apps association XML. So let's go ahead and push that. It's checking, and it's found the default inbox apps association XML file, and it's starting to remove it for us. So this operation is now completed, so we can push any key to move to the next section. So now what we need to do is number 6, import custom start menu layout from XML file. So that's what we're going to do next, is copy them 3 files over. And now we can move on to the next section, which is number 7, import custom registry settings from a registry file. If you have these, you can add these in. So I'm going to do this, and it's now going in. So it's going to make some custom registry settings there done for us. That's done. That's all finished. And it's just going to unmount that image for us. There we go. So push any key to continue and move on to the apply tweak section. This is going to apply all of our tweaks. And now we've got a long list of stuff that you can go through here. So apply number 1, all tweaks. That's what I'm going to do. So it's going to do all of those tweaks for us, and it's going to finish those tweaks off. So press any key to continue, and now go back. Push X to go back, and now X to go back again. And then we're going to move on back to the next list. So we're back to the main menu here. Push 5 to apply, and push 1 to clean up the source image. Next, let that do its thing. Once it's finished, we're going to push the key to go back, and then push number 2, which is apply and save settings to your source image. Now it's saying, do you want to trim unselected image additions? I'm going to say yes here to remove these. So let's go ahead and put Y for yes. Do you want to clean up the image folder? Y for yes, and push enter, and it will start to do that for us. And now we can push another key to go back to the main menu. Push number 7 here, and this is for tools, and we're going to go 1 for the Win Manager. So push that 1, and now we can see we've got E to convert. We're going to convert this and compress it back to an ESD file. So you can see we're going to select number 1 here, which is our image, and then we're going to convert this to ESD from a WIN file. This will compress it down a little bit more to make it more compressed, and that way we'll reduce it in size. So you can see the 2 files there, and it's starting to compress them. So let's go ahead and let that finish off, converting from WIM image to ESD image. Next, we're going to go into the next section here, which in our list, we can go back to the X to go back, and then X to go back again, because we don't need any of these options. And we're going to go to 6, our target image, and then number 1, make our DVD ISO image. This is now going to create our ISO image because we've made all the changes to our ISO. So let's go ahead and do this, and we can give it a name. I'm going to call this Win11x64-Lite, and you can call that whatever you like. And we can now push enter, and this will go off and start creating it. So now we need to enter our ISO file name. I'm just going to replicate the same name here so we don't get too confused. There we go. And again, I know I speeded this process up, but it is quite a complex process, and it does take a long time. And I've tried to cover as much as I can in it. But again, it's not for the faint-hearted. A lot of these images out there, try not to use other people's images. Try to use your own images that you created yourself. So if we go into our toolkit folder now and into our ISO folder, you should see a nice slimmed down version, 2.68 gigabytes in size, after we've removed all of the bloat. And that's basically how you can create your own Windows 11 Lite edition. And pretty straightforward stuff. So in our project folder here, compared to the original, if you look here at the original, 5.18 gigabytes. That's how much bloat we've removed from our image. And I think I've shown you the stats of this being installed before. You can check some of my previous videos out. All you need to do now is push X to quit, and this will clean up any leftovers, and that will be done. Now, again, I can't stress enough, you do this at your own risk. At the end of the day, you're going to create yourself a super lightweight Windows 11 Lite edition. Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't release this video earlier, and that's because I think it's more of an expert advanced level of tutorials, and I'm not sure my audience are going to be into that sort of stuff. It is very difficult to do, and you have to understand quite a lot about the operating system to do this sort of stuff. So that is the reason why I never released the video earlier. And the other reason is the fact that people are going to start removing components that they don't understand, and it's going to end up breaking their build that they've created. Also, you could just go ahead and use Windows 10 LTSC, which is already a version that's been released by Microsoft, which is an official version, which has already had all of the bloatware removed out of it. So that is the version that you should be using if you want a super light version of Windows. Always try to use the stuff that Microsoft create, because you're probably going to have less headaches than trying to create your own. Because when you start creating your own, you're going to end up having a lot of failed attempts at creating your Windows 11 Lite edition, because you don't understand how things work, and you start removing way too much stuff that is Windows dependent, and if you remove it, it will break. And it's that simple. Also, let me know in the comment section what sort of content you want to watch, because the last couple of weeks views have been pretty low, and I'm not too sure whether it's the sort of content that I'm making that people are not enjoying. Also, I've noticed a lot of people are not commenting, and this obviously helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you're leaving comments, it also helps with YouTube picking up the activity, and it will then push it out to a bigger audience. If people don't leave comments and people are not watching it, then it pretty much dies a death. That's pretty much how YouTube is nowadays. Anyway, with that said, I'll leave all the information on my website if people are interested, and I'll leave some information in the video description. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Let me know how you get on with your Windows 11 Lite edition if you attempt to do it, and let me know if it's something you're interested in or not. I'll be interested to read your comments. Have a lovely weekend, and I shall catch you in the next one. Big shout out to all my YouTube members who join my YouTube members group. I appreciate the support, and I shall catch you real soon for another video. Bye for now.